Hi, my name is Isabella Cowley, and in this video, I interviewed many people on local LGBTQ plus issues or, you know, nationwide issues. I found people from my high school, people that I know that are now going to other colleges, and some people that I just have grown up with on the same street. And I asked them about a couple questions on LGBTQ plus issues to see how attacks on queer and trans people are affecting people around me and affecting people locally, and how widespread the issue is. So, here's the video.
Yes, I do think um, these issues are relevant right now, especially since the 2024 election. Things have started to change, and recently we've seen news and articles about rights being stripped away from this community and these different types of people, and even actions being taken against certain signs that represent um, this community, even if it doesn't harm anyone, and which strips away from our community in general in the United States and these cities and towns.
Yeah, I think with the rise of anti-LGBTQ plus issues with or laws discriminating against them, it's also raised more awareness too. So I think they go hand in hand. But I think it's really unfortunate and tragic that people in power are making decisions to intentionally single out and hurt people in marginalized groups. Um, one example is the dismantling of the suicide prevention line. Um,
Mm-hmm.
that's huge. Um, this big commotion about, transgender athletes when it's only like a very, very tiny, small percentage. And then even then, those that are like really, really successful and elite at the sport is an even smaller fraction and percentage to where it's being amplified and like blown completely out of proportion. It's a lot of ignorance and lack of education. Being a high school teacher, we have students from all walks of life, from all sorts of different groups, and it's really hard to manage and create a safe space when all of that stuff is going down outside.
Mm-hmm.
Recently, the sidewalk got painted over for that was in memorial of those people that died in the club.
Yeah, there was a good shooting.
Yeah, and I don't think that was cool because I feel like that represents the not only the community but it just people died, and I think that's not cool covering it up because you're like erasing them, you're erasing the history.
I think the most pressing LGBTQ issue to me specifically is discrimination of LGBTQ within Christian and religious communities. I think, first of all, it makes no sense. Just first of all, specifically in conservative Catholic groups where they try to justify the discrimination of queers by saying that it is inherently a sin and therefore they should not be allowed within the church, when that completely contradicts the whole point of Jesus living and dying. No, not even personally, just in if you read the Bible, like it literally the issue makes no sense when Jesus lived to preach literally loving thy neighbor, no matter if they were a sinner, no matter what kind of lifestyle they lived, loving them and trying to bring them towards Christ. So I think discriminating against them and actively making the queer community hate the Christian community is just completely counterproductive, and I really hate it.
I think it can vary on whether the awareness has decreased or increased. I think when it comes to LGBTQ and their own group of peers, I think the awareness has definitely increased when you see things such as protests. An example like the crosswalk being painted over, that was a protest against Trump painting over the crosswalk, and It was a peaceful protest. The community came together and used chalk, put it right back where it was supposed to be. In that sense, it increased awareness throughout the community in itself. As for American politicians and their own sense of awareness, I think that in itself has decreased. They don't take their own time to go out and educate themselves unless they are the ones being educated or being thrown like threats at, such as our own politicians or president. They just push it aside, and it's very heartbreaking to see.
Yeah, so for context, I'm pansexual and I'm also trans masculine. And a lot of my friends are also queer and trans. I'm actually like right now at the moment, I guess, for the first time ever, a trans athlete. And I have to have a really personal conversation with my coach because he doesn't know and I haven't told him yet. And I would like to compete on the men's team. Now, that's really great, and I'm really lucky that despite all the anti-trans legislation that just went into place recently, specifically, like I play archery, the rules at first seemed like they weren't going to change, and they did, but they don't affect me because I'm a trans man, so I'm seen as non-threatening because I was born a girl. So, yeah, but one of the girls on the team, she's a trans woman. So, because of the rules changing, she is no longer qualified to play on the women's team, which is really terrible because she's like 100% a passing trans woman. And even if she wasn't, like, it's very unfair that like one of us can and the other one can't. And she went through a lot just to be able to play on the women's team last year. And now they basically like that was all for nothing. So yeah, it's very close to home at the moment for that. And especially for her, like I think it's really annoying because I think she's probably the best player on the team. And I think she can make it to the Olympics if she really wanted to. And because of new legislation, she can't play on the women's Olympics team.
I really love doing this project. I was honestly nervous about it before starting it, as I genuinely, with the people that I had in mind on, oh, let me find these people, or let me for sure ask, like, my old English high school teacher. I was worried that for most of the conversations they wouldn't be that long and I would have to get a lot of people, so I did. But then actually ended up having to cut out interviews because of how much everybody clearly cared and had opinions and thoughts on LGBTQ issues going on locally and nationwide and even worldwide. I think it's easy to think that specifically with LGBTQ plus issues, a lot of the people who are, have thoughts about it or are willing to express their opinions and fight for that cause are just those belonging to the community or even just like the younger population. But I think it's very clear through these interviews that that is not the case, and that these issues are being noticed by more than just those it's affecting, whether that's, straight guys or older teachers or just allies of the community. People are noticing, and it is clearly a bigger issue than just a little bit of, discrimination on a group. And I honestly think that as much as the discrimination is bad, the amount of people who clearly feel deeply for this community, whether they're in or not, is incredible. And it does show this unity that is growing in not only my city, but I'm sure throughout the entire nation. And I also found it interesting the point that Mr. Romero brought up, but I think also Chloe brought up, for the like increasing and decreasing question in American politics, how they kind of go hand in hand, whether like awareness is increasing because rights are decreasing. I never even thought to make that distinction. I just thought it was one or the other. So I think it's really interesting how those two can coexist at the same time, and kind of almost have to be able to raise awareness. You kind of need things to be happening that are bad in order to raise awareness for it. So I thought that take was really interesting and kind of opened my eyes to how, while it may feel hopeless and that things are not going well and are decreasing in terms of LGBTQ rights and everything, the awareness and the allyship and the rallying behind everybody and the support is just as steadily increasing. And I think that that is a beautiful yet heartbreaking discovery from this interview. So yeah, I really enjoyed this interview, and I hope that it can show other people some interesting realizations of their own. Thank you.